morning. Welcome to Global Conversations, the show that keeps the world talking. I'm your host, Julius Mbaluto, and in the studio today I'm with Julius Makabila. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Julius.
How was your journey?
A little bit, should I say stressful, but I did it.
It's typical of London, so it's something that in London we kind of get used to. Yes, a wonderful morning. It's bright and sunny. Although is that I normally call it cheating sunshine because it's bright. You think it's warm, but it's cold.
Absolutely.
It's winter time. Yeah, so you're welcome to Global Conversations. I'm your host Julius Mbaluto. We are on colourfulradio.com online. Here in the UK, we are on DAB Radio, and it's a great pleasure to have Juliet this morning. As we usually begin, we usually start from our conversations from London or UK where we are based, and we go all the way to different countries. Of course, we focus on the big stories of the day, which keeps on changing as time goes by. But here in the UK, we're going to start with a story that is really a very big story, and we are doing this at the back of a Kenyan who was actually stabbed to death, sad enough. His name is Randy Skuze, and it's just very sad because he never provoked anyone. He saw people start to fight, and he went to be the peacemaker. But unfortunately, he was attacked and he passed on. Really, really sad news for Kenyans. And I don't know what you make when you wake up to news like that, Juliet.
First of all, thank you so much for welcoming me, Julius Mbaluto, to help make this conversation. And for me, any child lost is too much. It's very painful. I would like for us to just take a minute silence to remember Randy, and it's absolutely devastating news for Kenyans to lose a 27 years old youth. It's absolutely saddens my soul personally. And I know that Kenyans are mourning here in the UK, and thank you so much for bringing this issue to be discussed further.
We understanding that, over 100 people in the UK have lost their lives through knife crime in the UK, which is really, really devastating. And a lot of these people are youth. A lot of these people, just like Randy, they never provoked anyone. They never did anything warranted. They are being attacked. Do you think there is something going on wrong in the society, or what are the issues? Why this?
Sadly, I actually have, I think that we've got some youths who are really bullies, and I feel that the issue of bullying needs to be readdressed, and guardians and parents really need to look for signs of whether their children are being bullied at any given point. So I think that this matter is more than what somebody can anticipate with. It is, I have done walks with Enough is Enough, and I'm a great campaigner of what I call, I started the hashtag called Children We Miss You, and I also started a hashtag called Children We Love You. And this was because of the issues that we see here in London facing us today. With regards to what is so wrong, I feel that there is many things that the youth are crying upon. But above anything, I don't think any youth, from whatever background or society, any youth should never be tempted to carry knife or even guns. And I think that is what is shocking to see a society in Great Britain, for that matter, that the youth as young as 12 years and, you know, feeling that they have to walk with a knife to protect themselves. And the question is, why are the youth running for a knife to protect themselves or to kill any other youths? I think we need to deal with that. And we have gone as far as bringing this matter to Parliament on various occasions. I have been part of that. We have also gone as far as bringing this matter to the attention of Number 10, and I'd like to appreciate Temi Tope, who took this matter. We've also signed a petition because especially the African Caribbean community, where we want these issues and resourcing provided. I have also been a key speaker and also brought these issues to, if you remember the case of Damilola Taylor's and the way that also boy passed on. So I have spoken to his dad. We have a center just not far from here in Southwark. And Damilola Taylor's father raised matters further, where he explained to us that even the center that he had was not fully being used, especially within our communities. And he asked us community workers and developers and change makers to encourage the youth to use the center more frequently, and also bring in programs which were able to, for parents and guardians. We have so many cases, and I bring all the groups together that work within this knife crime.
Yeah, well, let's you see, the most interesting thing is that so many years as a journalist covering crime and violence in society, I've seen a situation whereby globally some countries were seen as like hopeless or waste or beyond repair, and there's no hope in such a country, and such a country that has been viewed that way because of many years of violence, Somalia and some other African countries. But actually, when we see what's happening right now, because of knife crime has been so much on the rampant, so high, we are seeing report actually by the BBC not long ago came up, and is whereby some youths in the UK now feel I'd rather be in Somalia than in the UK, which is very interesting. Let's just hear this, listen to this, and then we'll carry on with the conversation. Well, I remember one time I woke up and all around, almost in different parts of London, north, west, south, east, there was a case to mention, and it went on for like a week. I remember speaking to one of the youths, and this youth was like, "Can I go to study in Africa?" I'm like, "Why do you ask that?" Say, "I don't feel safe anymore." And actually, that speaks for you. You see, the thing is, in life with news, most of the time, people are just like characters in a drama. Or when you see, sometimes like you're watching an episode of a film, but actually it's real life. But this comes home when you're directly affected. And as we have just shared, Kenyan community in the UK are mourning of their one of their own, Randy Scusa. And he was a supervisor where he was working, and ironically, he dies attending a birthday of a friend. Birthdays, celebration of life, then death. How do we explain that? I think, having spoken with a lot of youths in the UK, and I've hosted youths in these global conversations, and I was shocked to learn of the things that are happening in school. Some desperately, because if you say to them, "School will do searches of knives," they carry combs. And one of the child I was speaking to would say, "Fine, I'll carry a comb, a comb with long spikes." Uh, what is it that they feel so vulnerable? Why this loss of life? What can be done? I mean, you shared what you have done, but what do you make of what you heard about youths being taken to Africa?
For me, when I saw that, first of all, it is sad to think that the youth are now fleeing their own hometown, which is here, or they've been brought up here. But I also think that Kenya is giving them a home, and many Somalians come from Kenya as well. So you've got the Kenyan Somali, and they feel that they're taking back their children back home for safety. And as Jamal Hassan there has explained, and well done to that youth for changing his life around. I'm so proud of that youth. And thank you for bringing BBC as well and the story here to Colourful Radio and into your show. I think that it would be shocking to the Kenyan community in itself as well to see that youths are coming home because of knife crime from UK, if you see that kind of thing. If you tell that to children in Kenya or the youth in Kenya who aspire to come to London or to Europe, and you tell them you're facing such problems, I think that would bring a shocking statement to our culture. Our culture is not, I mean, children would fight, it's normal for kids to fight, but I don't think it's normal for kids to take knives and stab each other. And I think that is where
100 is a lot of people.
it's more than 100.
But definitely, probably these are just when it happens sometimes, you capture the first ones, and there are some in the hospital. Probably people never follow up, so you never check the whole statistics. But
I've followed the statistics, and I've done a program which is called A Time with Julius. Thank you so much to the person who videoed that one was Howard. But I tell you what, it is devastating news, Julius. I'm shocked.
We're going for a quick break. Yeah, we will carry on the conversations in a minute when we are back. Don't go away. Stay. Feel free to contribute. You can send us your messages on Facebook, on Facebook Live. You can call us on 07931142755. And if you are outside UK, please do press +44. Thanks a lot. Don't go away. We are carrying on the conversation. Welcome back. You're listening to Global Conversations on Colourful Radio. I'm your host, Julius Mbaluto. We are coming to you all the way from the Africa Center at the heart of London and to you globally. And yes, Global Conversations is a show that keeps the world talking. So in the studio, I'm with Juliet Makapila. She's a community leader. She's done many different things. And yes, our focus, night crime in the UK. Sad what's happening around. Probably what I can recommend is to parents speak to children, find out the problems where they are coming from. Probably community engagement between the police and the communities. Probably in schools as well, proper, measures, put in place to ensure all this doesn't, go to schools. And also in terms of even children going back home, there should be very presence probably of the police through the ways children pass going on. But how do we deal with this big issue about you are grown up, you have the right to do whatever you wish, you can go to any party you wish, but still there will be a problem again. It is a question of also we are saying that in these social places, probably measures to search people, measures to keep out those who have any knives or anything. Yeah, fine, but we are not the experts. Experts have spoken. There's a lot written and circulated on this particular issue. We can only wish things will change. So we move on to the next phase of our story. Briefly, we're going to talk about Kenya. We are going to Kenya now. We are going to talk about the BBI report and what's happening in Bomas of Kenya is that they launched the BBI report because we saw a lot of people talking about it. We've had a bit of reactions to it. We'll quickly hear some reactions from Bomas of Kenya, courtesy of NTV. Yes, that's the situation at Bomas of Kenya in Nairobi. The Bomas of Kenya has been historical, and for moments such as this, we remember the last constitution, which was inaugurated 2010. It was actually debated, talked about within the Bomas of Kenya for a very long time. Now, my question to you as a Kenyan, and also as an aspiring politician here in the UK, we have already had the laws of the land, the constitution that was there before. Kenyans went what we call second liberation. They fought, clamoring for changes within the new constitutions. Clamoring for changes from the previous one, which was seen as with colonial era kind of constitution. Then it was changed. A new constitution promulgated 2010. And with this constitution before 2010, there was a lot of consultations done. I gave my views in London to a committee which was headed by Professor Yash Paul Guy. He came to London to do to search opinions of Kenyans, and it was widely consultation went on for a long time. It wasn't a quick fix, and out of it we came out with a constitution as Kenyans that is very progressive. They said it was the best in Africa, but now we have gone back again. We need some BBI. So, quick question is, as Kenyans, is it the problem? Is the laws the problem? Or is us as Kenyans the problem? Because I always say, every time I speak about this, if we cannot obey a red signal on the road and stop, we don't need to make any more laws to compel us to. Because at the end of the day, the law is already there. We are not actually using it, and the law enforcers are maybe not enforcing it.
Thank you for that question, Julius. And I stood in the borough of Islington.
Okay.
Yes, I just want to relate to why I'm bringing that point up. So I stood in the borough of Islington against Catherine West, who is now the MP of Haringey, but I was at the time she was the leader of the council. So I'm relating to the question on the hand that if you were here in UK, would you be able to just wake up and change any constitution or policies just like that? And as you said, during that experience, I think you also covered our story when Elizabeth Kanyete was elected around that same time. So she was elected as a councillor in Baki, and she's still a councillor. She served as a mayor as well. So my question, when you ask us Kenyans, as maybe now changing my heart a little bit here, standing as a community transformer and change maker, but changing my heart a little bit for this question into politics, where I've been the London Regional Executive Officer for...
Tell us how that reflects on the question.
So
of the constitution change, of the BBI. Is Kenyans the problem, or is it the laws that are the problem? Because if we were to follow to the letter, the constitution inaugurated 2010 in Kenya, then maybe we wouldn't have a lot of problems. Let me pick up a few things about it. Number one, top of the agenda, that constitution talked about inclusivity. That constitution talked about face of Kenya. Even appointments of jobs, you cannot just employ people as an institution without thinking about the face of Kenya. That constitution inaugurated 2010 also featured chapter 6 of the constitution, ethics. And all that. If those ethics were to be employed within the political sphere of Kenya and also social sphere of Kenya, do we need a BBI?
I think that if you look at, I've got a very different view when it comes to how that constitution was done, and especially I know that Kenyans wanted a new constitution, and that was a good thing to be able to feel that they owned it. In that perspective, it was great to have the bananas and the orange perspective, and as we know, the orange side won. But in terms of how the task force executed the issues and how they're doing the constitution, they had limitation. And no one is talking about the limitation that the task force has faced for years. The task force has had loads of challenges due to certain political leaders, not to mention any names, but certain interference where there's conflict of interest. And the task force has faced a lot of management problems, I would love to suggest, and that's a personal opinion. So for me, we need to be looking at the task force and the challenges the task force has faced to execute its work and duties as it was mandated to do by our government. And our government has had challenges in terms of ensuring that the task force is able to do their duties without interference. So the question is, should politicians and certain politicians be interfering with the task force? And if that should have legal implications in our government or in any African government, once the task force has been formed, what should be the procedures? And how respectful should we be as citizens? Should the conflict of interest, if people are sitting in certain platforms, be declared so that we don't have the task force time wasted? So we have seen a lot of delays in terms of managing tasks. We have seen a lot of changes whereby you've seen all kinds of even fear in the sense that, and I know that I have spoken to ministers directly, and as a change maker and community transformer, I do care about government policies and government implications, not just in Kenya, but across Africa.
Now that PBI report is out, is already out, and it's been launched. You'll see that. And what we saw during the processes you're saying, there was a lot of reactions. I'll call them knee-jerk reactions, because a lot of discussions were happening, being fronted by people who had not even read the report. People who didn't have the contents of the report at heart and in their mind, and they would take just biased or self-interested standpoints and run with that. We have seen that happening. And also, before the launch of the proper report, even during the launch, there was a fake report launched before the real one came out. So these are challenges that comes up. But now that we know, and I've read the report, some of the things coming out there, to me, they are not new. But actually, when you look at them, they need proper attention. Like number one of the conclusions by the task report was that Kenyans, from the top all the way to the bottom, we have a culture that we don't like to follow the law. What can be done to make sure that we follow the law? And also, what can leaders do to lead by example? Because if observance to the laws is falling from the top, what should leaders do to ensure we follow the law? And I've checked the report. And when you look at the consultation process, it wasn't as long as the consultation for writing of the new constitution took place. It was pretty much longer. But this particular one was just shorter. And also fewer people, because you're giving us a report, only 7,000 people are given their opinions. 7,000 people. How many are we? 47 plus million people. So to be very fair to the leadership, Uhuru Kenyatta, President, former PM, Raila Odinga, they have said, excuse me, this is a report. Now start talking about it to include your opinions, and maybe the consultation goes on. So it's not like it's going to be implemented right away the way it is. But what do you think about us Kenyans in terms of not paying attention to law? Issues like tribalism are there, issues like corruption are still there. As a Kenyans, what do you think about all this? And if corruption, I'll tell you one thing, fine. We haven't seen very many conclusions of cases of people who are arrested through corruption.
I think that I would love to portray magical Kenya on my side. And the memories of, for myself, is I think that many Kenyans are good people, but you've got a few people who would not want to follow the laws, and as you say, top-down approach. But I think the question is, what is happening to our country in corruption, as you suggested, and should, the concerns and what should be happening. You've just suggested more arrests perhaps should be happening, especially from top down. In terms of what should we be doing as Kenyans, I think every Kenyan has got the responsibility to fight against corruption in all our work, in all our areas, in all our ways. And I believe that it's only by changing our mindset that we are all responsible for what is happening in our countries. And that goes across Kenya, that goes across Africa. Our mindset needs to be changed. Our attitudes in how we follow rules and regulations and policies that we have put in place need to reflect our own characters.
Yeah, I've seen, if you give examples of how, like sometimes you see laws being enforced, people change. Look at in Kenya, the issue about climate change. Look at the idea that all the career bans have been banned, and there's a fine to go with it. You see, many people are not willing to carry any career ban because they know it's going to be enforced. But if you compare that observance of the law at the very bottom, you want to ask yourself, what signal is set when so many arrests have been made? Let's be very clear about that. Arrests of senior government officials have been made, but we haven't seen conclusion to such cases. We are some, yes, but not as many as it should be. And we have seen the top hierarchy of leadership between the executive and judiciary blaming each other. No, Kenyans don't want that. Every arm of governance just need to do their job without blaming it.
And for me, we need. For me, somebody asked me this question 2 weeks, I think about a month ago, about what I think that the judiciary, should look like. And for me, I already think that we need more judges. I also feel that cases are taking too long, as you suggest, and I think that police have raised these questions as well. So thanks to our police officers in Kenya as well, in terms of addressing matters which are coming to court. And I think people do not respect, the corruption in some cases. Some people argue that some people are corrupting the system by going out and bribing certain individuals. And I think corruption should be fought at every single duty, and that should apply to, if Kenya Law Society took also the solicitors and the lawyers that were perhaps taking these kind of mark up, I feel that we would have stronger institutions. So I would love to use your program to challenge the Kenya law firms, and especially their where they meet. I want to see them doing more of a job, because for me, even diasporans are suffering a lot. I've had cases where diasporans tell us a lot of stories, and you find that they cannot even complain about those lawyers and their monies were taken and stuff like that. So I believe we should have a central system of reporting cases and reporting lawyers who are not doing their jobs properly, or any advocate, and that should be central to building a better governance for our country.
Yeah, we're going for a quick break. Don't go away. You're listening to Global Conversations on Colourful Radio. We are live on Facebook. We are live in the UK, DAB Radio, and across UK and globally on colourfulradio.com. We are airing all the way from the Africa Center to the rest of the world. Global Conversations is the show that keeps the world talking.
Thank you.
Yes, we are going to the second part of the program, and in this particular part of the program, we normally talk to you about what you do. We always say global conversation, we celebrate everybody. I always say my best catchphrase when I go to my local shop and it's closed. I may drink tea without milk, and it is not going to be choice. It's just because my shopkeeper door is shut. So we celebrate everything that people do, everybody. And that's why we like to talk to people who come to our shop. Tell us what you do and you know how that impacts on the world that we are living in. So you are here, Juliet, it's your time. Let's start with at the top. You know, you once vied to become a counselor. You're here in London. So, but just tell us about yourself from Kenya.
Well, I love Kenya, magical Kenya, as I started earlier on saying, and thank you so much, Julius Mbaluto, for inviting me to your program and show here today, right down here at Colourful Radio. This is the first time I'm doing a program with yourself. I have watched you on live shows and share that more often, and thanks so much for the interest that you asked me to pop in and just come and talk about our work and why the interest. I'm a community transformer and change maker. That's what I love to be known as. I wear many hats and different hats project differently. One of the main areas that I'm really interested with is promoting the Sustainable Development Goals. Promoting the sustainable development goals, which are the UN development goals. And I love doing that. I love supporting our community to improve their livelihoods and to make sure that we are doing the best. And the one thing that many people know me as, of course, is the African Wonder Woman, and I'm the African Wonder Woman who is always wondering and full of wonders. And thank you so much for bringing me to your show.
Yeah, you're welcome. You talk about magical Kenya that people don't know you. You were born in Kenya, something like that.
Yeah. I'm British Kenyan actually. So.
It's still okay.
Yes, yeah, British Kenyan.
Everything
Thank you.
works. Talk to us about your vying to be a politician. I mean, in London, is it that easy?
I'd love to say it's not easy. People might think it's easy, but I would love to say that it's not easy, especially during the election, the electing period. You have to be elected within a political party, and I think that process can be quite challenging, especially if you're from the BAME community. So I believe that people need to know and to get there and to be able to, I viewed on the ticket of Lead Dems. And as I said earlier on, yourself and Topi Liambila and I believe Derek and a few others picked the story. There was quite a few of us during that year. I think we had Mariana Lapini, if I may not be mistaken, and somebody else from Basildon as well, and myself, and I think there was also another councillor.
There's about six Kenyans vying for councillors' positions in the UK.
I'm just talking about
that was the time.
Yeah, so there was about 4 or 5 was around that time.
So for you, how difficult was it, or how easy it was?
I think it was great. I'm very involved with politics. I've just finished my London Regional Executive Officer within the London, and I was the Diversity and Inclusion Officer for the whole of London.
Is this for Liberal Democrats?
For Lead Dems, yeah. So, but within the Lead Dem, I still promote the whole of inclusion and diversity, something that I champion, not just for the Liberal Democrats, but across the whole of, internationally actually. And
any chance to vie for an MP position or something?
I'll keep that a secret. I'll keep that a secret, but here in London we've got elections on the 12th, so I'm encouraging everybody today or yesterday, 25th. So is the last day for people to register to be able to vote. So if you haven't registered to vote, please, if you're living in UK, please, if you'd love to vote and take part in the democratic process of electing our MPs, please do so, especially if you're from the African angle. Just go into the government's website and make sure you have registered to vote.
Brilliant. So away from politics, you are into acting. Can you just say something like that?
So that's I started off as a hobby. So I have hobbies as well. You know, as a while doing many things, you get involved. So I use poetry. I write. I'm a writer. So I write my own poems, and those poems I reflect especially in terms of peace matters, and also I reflect about what is happening across our world. So my writing is very, very contemporary in terms of what really solves the world's problems. And so recently, which is just 2 days ago, well, prior to that, really, during Black History Month, I was invited by Councillor and Civics Mayor Victoria Baze, who wanted me to say a poem in celebration of, she had my appointment, so she wanted me to say the poem, which I wrote myself, so I was very proud to present that in the borough of Tower Hamlets. But this weekend as well, I was delighted to also be, and then after that, I was also invited, sorry, it's the other way around, but I was also invited to say the same poem during Black History Month by the Asian community in terms of celebrating Mayo Angelou. So I was asked to pick 2 poems which I really loved and why I loved them, plus my own poem. So in bringing the writers of African, which I know you like, that's why I put that in, and in bringing the writers and especially the Chinua Achebe's, Maya Angelou, you know, African Center used to be supported by Chinua Achebe, and Things Fall Apart. Many of us have done that book in Kenya. I did it as one of my compositions in English literature. So I was asked to perform, and I take that as a hobby and an interest, but I use that lineage of work because I'm a community educator myself. And within the community education, I'm absolutely delighted to say that this week I was part of the theatre here in in Rich Mix, and it was true that when I was going home that I saw that news you were talking about the knife crime. I was going home that night and I saw because Rich Mix, where it is situated is not far from Algit East.
So what's the play that you were acting?
Mohad, yeah, it was. It's called Mohala, and it was directed by T.M. Hamad as well. And thank you so much to all the technical team and all the actors.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
But I'm also going to say that I'm the first, I'm the first actor for the Kenyans to be on Bollywood, because, you know, mainly you find that it's Asian Kenyans, but I'm an African Kenyan, or I'm a Kenyan born. I'm a Kenyan, as in African Kenyan.
But I've been to Bollywood. I've been to Bollywood.
Yeah.
Although in my mind.
No, but I'm saying when you're acting Asian, because normally, so it was very fascinating to me, because on this one they acted with their language and then they did it with English as well.
Okay, no problem. That's good. No, it's we would love to talk forever, but time is not on our side. It's been a pleasure to have you on Global Conversations. So keep doing what you do, and raising this Kenyan flag you carry around.
Oh yeah, and just a quick one. The storyline was about making sure that women are not being used as commodities and women are not being exploited. So
that's something else that you
too. So breaking the silence of abuse.
No problem. That's brilliant. So keep doing what you do. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you
Our listeners, thank you for being with us wherever you are listening or watching us from. We really appreciate. So because of time, we have to go. And when we go, we'll come back. We have to go so that we come back again. So it's not a bad news really, but stay tuned for all the other programs from Colourful Radio. I'm your host, Julius Mbaluto.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. My host, Julius, it's been a pleasure to have you around with us. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much, Julius.
Nimechelewa. Unaweza chukua number light bit. Let me finish this. Lots of people watching.